Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. You know, here on this channel, I like to educate, motivate, and inspire you to excel in all areas of your life. Today, I want to talk to you about your credit cards and your credit card utilization. You know, a lot of your credit cards or maybe have high balances and it's impacting your credit score. With high balances, it's really impacting your score because 30% of your utilization is part of your credit score. So I want to talk to you, give you some ways on how to manage your utilization. So what is utilization? Utilization is the ratio of your credit limit and your credit balance. So I'll give you an example. So if you have a $2,000 credit card, you want to keep that $2,000 balance at least 30%. Preferably 10, but at least 30%. So that is way number one to manage your utilization, is to keep your credit card balance at least 30% of the limit. So again, if you have a $2,000 credit card, you want to keep it to at least $600 balance. I know that may not seem like a lot, but you want to manage it so that you won't affect your credit score. And I'm going to give you some other ways that you can kind of leverage your utilization so that you can keep the utilization level at 30%. Way number one was to keep your balance under 30%. If you have a $2,000 card, keep it at $600 or less, okay? So that's 30% of that $2,000. Another way to manage your utilization, of course, if you can pay your balance off in full every month. That way you have a zero balance and you are avoiding the interest on the card. So if you can pay your balance off at the end of the month or on your due date or before the due date preferably, then that way you are keeping your balance low and you're avoiding interest. Another way that you can manage your utilization also, if you have 2 to 3 credit cards, you can just try and distribute the balances. Now that's if all of the cards are not maxed out. So if you have 3 cards and you want to make sure that you're kind of balancing it out over the 3 cards to try to keep the balance, the utilization at 30%. So if you have 2 cards, one card has 2,000, one card has 3,000. Just try and leverage that out where your utilization level is at 30%. Okay. The next way to manage your utilization is call and try to get a credit limit increase. So if you've been having your card for quite some time and you've been making your payments on time, you haven't been late, you have a $2,000 balance and your limit is kind of exceeding that 30%, then call the credit card company to see if you can get a credit limit increase. And if you've been on time with your payments, the majority of the time they will give you that credit limit increase. And that's going to raise your limit and lower your utilization with the approval of a credit limit increase. Now, when you get the credit limit increase, that doesn't mean that you go and charge on the card because you're managing your utilization. So if you get the credit limit increase and then that lowers your credit utilization and then you just continuing to pay that balance off. Okay, then another way that you can also manage your utilization is if you have at least a 680 credit score, then you get these offers in the mail, 0% APR, 0% interest for 12 months. And if you get approved for one of those cards, so you have 0% interest for 12 months, then you can take the balance from your card. Say that you got a $5,000 limit on this new card, no interest for 12 months. You can take that $1,000 that you owe, just say you owe $1,000 on one of your cards, take that $1,000 and transfer it to that 0% interest card. That means you have no interest for 12 months. And then you're going to pay that off quicker because of the no interest. And then you lowered your utilization on one card and then you're paying it off faster on the other card. So that way you have lower utilization and you're raising your credit score. So a balance transfer on a 0% interest card will also help your utilization. And my last way of helping you to utilize your utilization is the way you pay your cards. Most people, you pay on your due date, but the best way to pay your card, if you look at your credit card statement, you have a statement date. And normally the statement date, the end of the statement period. So that statement date is going to be different from your due date. The statement date is actually when the credit card reports to the credit bureau. So what you really want to do on those credit cards, you want to make your payment like 2 to 3 days before that statement date. Just say your due date is on the 20th of the month, but the end of your statement date could be the 15th of the month. So what you really want to do is try and make your payment on like the 12th of the 13th of the month. And that way on the 15th, you've already made a payment. So that's what's going to report to the credit bureau, and that's going to show a lower balance that's due on your credit card. So my nugget to you is to pay your credit cards 2 to 3 days before the end of your statement date, not your due date. And that way, when they're reporting to the credit bureaus, your credit balance is low. So I hope this information makes sense to you. Of course, you can always reach out to me. I'll give you the ways again to help manage your utilization. First way is to keep your balances under 30% of your credit limit. Second way, if possible, to just pay your cards off every month, and that way you're paying your balance down, you have a zero balance, and you're avoiding the interest. Thirdly, if you have 2 to 3 credit cards, then try and to distribute those balances among those 3 cards to keep those cards at a 30% or lower utilization. The next way to manage your credit limit is to call and ask for a credit increase. And if you get the credit increase, then that way you have a higher credit limit and a lower utilization, a lower balance or lower utilization. So that way that is raising your credit score because you have a higher balance, a lower utilization, and it's going to raise your credit score right there. And then another way is the balance transfer, 0% interest. You get a new credit card, transfer the balance over to that 0% interest for 12 months. You're going to pay that down faster because there's no interest. And then the other card, that where you transfer it over to the new card, that balance went down also, and that's going to increase your score also. And lastly, to try and make your payments 2 to 3 days before the end of your statement date. So if your statement date is on the 15th of the month, try and make your payment on the 13th. Not the due date, your statement date. Get your credit card statement and look on the statement. There's a statement date. So you want to make your payments 2 to 3 days before the end of the statement date, because the statement date, that is the balance that's going to report to the credit bureau. So if you're reporting with a lower utilization or lower balance, then that's going to raise your score. So I hope this information was helpful. I'm here to help you. If you have any questions, I have my consultation link down below. Reach out to me. It's time to get this credit right so that we can move on to bigger and better things. So again, thank you for taking the time to watch me, and let's get it.